Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're stepping back into our background career today of Nightfighter Ace from Compass Games after our hockey game last week. In this one, we're a Nightfighter pilot charged with defending Germany from night raids by the Allies during World War II. With that, let's reintroduce ourselves to our pilot. We've got our pilot Schultz here, who's in a BF-110F4. We'll meet that plane when we move over to the main game area. But as you can see, he hasn't really done much in his career. He's got all of one experience in... Actually, he's got... It looks like he's got one experience right now. He's only got 2 kills, but he's been on 10 sorties. Nothing much going on in most of those sorties. Hopefully we can get him a little bit more experience, but... Now I think we're all set to move back over to the main game area to check the shot over there. I'm just kind of rearranging things here a little bit so I have everything I need in the main shot. I'll also make sure I grab my tweezers in case I end up needing those. But we'll take a look at our BF-110F4 that's over here in shot. We've got tracks for each of our different bases. We're based in the Netherlands, part of the Let me see if I can bring that up a little bit closer. Go figure. As soon as I drop it empty into the hand, it focuses. There's our unit emblem that we're part of. I didn't really highlight that over at the main, when we had the pilot over in shot. We've got our forward guns with the power of 4 attack, infinite ammo, 4 shot on the forward cannon, also immune to gun jams, but we can get them hit and disabled. Then we've got our forward cannons that are our MK108 3cm cannons that have an ammo of 10 power, but they also have 3 ammo on them, so we have to be very judicious with those. And then our rear guns, of course, that also have infinite ammo on those. But I think we're all set up now, so we should be able to get a few good sorties in. With that, let's move into our 4th sortie of September 1943. Our 4th sortie of the month is on a full moon, so we're making all of our interceptions at +2 We're making all of our interceptions at +2. So first we need to know where we're going for this raid. So we're going to roll our 2d6 as usual and add them together to get our target. Let's see, September 1943 on a 10. We're looking at a Bochum raid from the Ruhr. Just make notes here. That's the 3rd time they've tried to go for this. They've tried to go for Bochum. So that means we bring our raid target over here. Ranges for combat later. We might need that. But first thing we need to do here... Alright, first thing we need to do after that is we need to roll for the weather. So that's a D10 on... That's going to be a D10 roll on, where is it? Table B9, which is probably on the other side of this. Yes. All right, so I've got my table off shot. Let's see, that's an 8, so we're taking off in poor weather. That's going to be a bit of a problem. Just going to finish making some notes. Oop. Okay, so that means we're looking at potential landings +1 if that weather holds. So now we move. Okay, we have to roll for random electronics failure next, which is another 2d6 roll. I'll bring my dice a little bit more front and center so I can get at those more easily. Let's see, a 7 I believe is going to be no electronics failure. No electronics failure, so that's good. Okay, so now we move from the hangar to the raid location endurance box, which is the RUR. So now I have to check for a spoof raid, which spoof raid is right here. So that's going to be a 2d6 roll. Hopefully we don't roll high on this. Actually. Spoof raid, so let's see what happens on our spoof raid. That's a 6, so no effect, thankfully. Which means now we can move, we can have our first roll in the RUR box. So we're rolling on the interception chart, that'll be a D10, and we're making our interceptions at +2 because of the full moon. So in the RUR, a 2 + 2 is 4 is no interception. Next up is going to be Berlin and Frankfurt. My tweezers were giving me a little bit of difficulty at getting a hold of that. Four plus 2 is 6, also no interception. Okay, next box is France-Bremen. A little easier to do it that way. Four plus 2 is 6. Once again, no interception. Next up is going to be Munich. Ay, ay, ay. Three plus 2 is 5. Once again, no interception. And the blank box. Jeez, another box with no interception. So we're already looking to land this thing. So now we have to roll for landing weather. That was a pretty boring raid. Alright, so landing weather is back to table B9 again. Hopefully we're putting down a little better weather than we took off in. And of course we're trying, well, we took off in poor weather, we're still trying to put down in poor weather. Which means we have a +1 on landings. So now we have to see if the landing, what happens with the landing roll. That's going to be a 2d6 on chart B7 on B7. And we're rolling +1. That's a 10 + 1 is 11, which means we're going to get a rough landing on that one. Each crew would get a light wound, but since we're going to be going to another sortie right away, we won't be taking that light wound. It would get healed. It would get healed off right away anyway. So that made for another quiet sortie. Nothing going on there. So with that, we're already looking at our 5th sortie in September 1943. Well, the plane hardly needed any refitting, just a little more fuel. So now let's see where we're going. Let's see, if 4 once again says they're going for Bochum right away. I don't even have to move the raid target box. This time we're at a bright moon, so we're only making our intercepts at +1. Right, bright moon there. Actually, bright moon, I think, going the other way. Yep. Okay. All right, so next up, we're checking for a random... Actually, we're checking for the weather of the raid. Making some notes here. So the weather this time, it's a socked-in raid, which is automatically going to get canceled because we are not an ace pilot. That didn't take long. And with that, I'm just going to make another note. We hardly even have to transition from that, so we can go right into our sixth sortie for September 1943. Normally I would turn the camera off, but since we got that raid canceled, I'm not going to bother. So let's see where we're going this time. September 1943 is apparently known for wretched weather. Pardon the coughing fit. Let's see, a 10. Another Bochum raid. All right, let's see what the weather this time is. Weather this time is actually good weather, so we'll actually get to go on the raid this time. And looks like no special status on the moon. And we actually get to go on this raid. So with that, now we can check for random electronics failure, and we'll see what happens here. Hopefully nothing much, but... Let's see, that's an 8, which I believe is no effect. Yep, no effect. Okay. So now we get to move to the raid box. Check for spoof raids, which is going to be 2d6. Fortunately, we're still in 1943, so we don't get the +1 to the roll on the spoof raid. Hopefully not a high roll. Okay, so no effect on the spoof raid. Which means now we get to have our first roll, so this is over the RUR. We're rolling a d10. A 3 is another no interception. Here we go again. Right. So now we go to Berlin, Frankfurt. We'll see what happens here. A 7 is still no interception. Next up to France, Bremen. We're getting higher rolls, but still no interceptions. That's a 2, which is also no interception. We're still... On that one, we're just barely sure of our location. Munich. 6, once again, no interception. And the blank box. Technically, these probably aren't the actual locations, but we'll work with it. Seven is still no interception. Good grief. Which means now we're trying to land this thing again. Which means now we have to roll for the landing weather. That's okay. So that's a D10. Alright, we're trying to put down in good weather, so that's a relief. Now we get a 2d6 roll with no modifications. Seven is another safe landing. Oh boy. Well, we're through 3 sorties in probably what's going to be about 20 minutes of video so far. So I think we're going to go for at least one more sortie. Let's see if we can finish out September 1943, although we've got 2 more sorties to do that in. This will be our 7th sortie in September 1943. Once again, the bird hardly needs any refueling. Just needs refueling, hardly needs a refit. So we're into our 7th raid of 1943. We are going to be in a dark moon. Well, actually, we're going to be in a dark moon, which means we're going to be making our interceptions at -1. So we need to find out where we're targeting first. Five says the Allies this time are actually going for Berlin, which is going to be a nice variety. Because they're not going after Bochum this time. Alright, first thing up, we need to roll for the weather. We've had some pretty horrendous weather in this session of sorties, so hopefully that won't continue here. That's an 8, which means we're taking off in poor weather. Fun, fun. Alright, so with that in mind, now we can move over to... Oh wait, we gotta roll for random electronics failure first. That's gonna be a 2d6 roll. Which a 6 says we're going to have no problems on that front. And now we're getting ready to see if we fall for a spoof raid, so over to Berlin we go. Let's see what happens here. That's a 7, so no problems on the spoof raid. Which means now we roll to see about interceptions. And remember, we're making these rolls at a -1. That's a 5 minus 1 is 4, which is no interception. This time we're moving the raid target to all the way out to Berlin. Be nice if I could get like a mat for this or something so that lays flat. Let me see if my knife can maybe give me a hand with laying that flat. Then we're moving over to France Bremen. That's a 6 minus 1 is 5. Still no interception. Over to Munich next. An 8 minus 1 is 7. Still no interception. Now, I am very sure, this is the blank box, I'm very sure with a performance like this of not seeing anything, we probably would have been sacked a long time ago. Three minus 1 is 2. Still no interception. Now we get to roll for landing weather. That'll be that's a 1d10 roll. A 4 means we're trying to put down in good weather. Now we make our landing roll. A 7, which means we get a safe landing out of that. Yet another, okay, I think we had quiet sorties in both of those. Alright, and just like that, we're already ready for our final sortie of September 1943, which I think will also be the last sortie of the video, and I'll explain why after this sortie is over. The final sortie of September 1943 is likely to be a very quiet one, because we have no moon to worry about on this one, which means we're making our interceptions at a -2 roll. So let's roll for the raid target first. Seven means they're going for Hanover, which means we're going to be starting in the Bremen box. Okay, which means the target moves to Bremen. Let's see what's next up. Weather on table D10, on table B9. Which means it's socked in and the raid is canceled. That was a short sortie. And just like that, this raid and this video for Nightfighter Ace are both over. You're probably wondering to yourself, Phoenix Knight, why are you cutting the video off so early? Well, the big part of the reason for that is because we are at the last sortie of September 1943. And that's related to how I'm going to structure the videos for this game, actually for a few of the narrative games that I featured on the channel moving forward. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to compress try to manage a month of sorties into each video, so especially since these sorties are short enough where I could probably manage that. Where I could say, okay, I'm going to run through this entire month of sorties in a given video. That way, it's a little bit easier to manage rather than having to look at it and say, okay, I started with this sortie in the middle of the month. Where it'll be easier and it'll make for a cleaner video if I can say, okay, I'm going to do this month of sorties in this video. So it's mostly a video structuring decision that I'm going to try to make these videos a little bit more structured in that way. But I'm rambling on that front, so that'll do it for this session of Nightfighter Ace. Busy week coming up on the channel. Wednesday we're playing Hornet Leader from Carrier Air Operations from DVG. Saturday we'll be making the entree on Mystical Munchies out of the official Halo cookbook, Frank's Fish Nuggets. Next week looks like it's going to be a busy one. We'll be revisiting Age of Innovation from Fuhrland Spiel in the morning. In addition to that, we'll be starting another round of baseball testing next week. Later in the afternoon Sunday, we'll be playing APA Baseball on the first round of baseball testing. There may be another video later today, but that's going to depend on how some other events in my personal life go. But I'll talk more about that if we get to that video. Thank you for watching this video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.